Good evening, beautiful ladies. Welcome to the launch of Samadhan. What better way to do so other than having these successful ladies who have made us all so proud? Welcome, Sasha. Welcome, Vishali. I would also like to extend a very warm welcome to two men behind their success, Nipinji and Manmohanji. Thank you so much for curating this show. Samadhan, which means solution, is actually one point cell for ladies seeking help to expand or grow or to start up their own business. Ladies seeking help in mentoring and incubation may connect our FMC. With immense pride, I would like to invite Mrs. Monica Chaudhary, our Flow Mentoring and Incubation Head. She's the current General Body member and also a past chair to throw some light on Samadhan. We are so glad to have Monica as our FNC falls in your EG. Thank you so much. Monica, over to you.
I think she's muted herself.
Monica, yeah. Monica, are you unable to unmute yourself? Yeah. There you are, Monica.
I've unmuted her.
Monica, over to you.
I think she's kind of.
Mona. She's not used to me calling her Monica. Mona.
No, I think volume is. Okay, I'll just continue and then we call
Yeah.
her.
Yeah.
In this globalized world, change is the only thing that is constant. And the more innovations a businesswoman can bring to her business, the brighter.
Mona, you need to mute yourself.
To enlighten you all, I would like to call Mrs. Monica Chaudhary, Head Samadhan, to tell us about the incubation and mentorship program. Over to you, Monica.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Hello, am I there?
Yes, you are. Yes.
Okay, hi. So, good evening. Very warm welcome to the platform for Samadhan, an incubator and mentoring cell for women entrepreneurs across Punjab. Particularly for our chapter, we've put up this small program where we are trying to explain and also inviting and opening small forms for people to fill in. Samadhan for us is a social enterprise. It is envisaged as a consortium of dedicated team working professionals committed to create entrepreneurs and industry ready professionals. The objective of this entire cell from the national perspective is to act as a single window solution for the existing businesses and startup ventures. In this globalized world, change is the only constant, and in more innovations a businesswoman can bring to her business, and brighter are the chances of her succeeding and sustaining. With the entire might of flow from the national level behind all the chapters and including for us, we are ready to launch a vertical arm itself, which will help a whole lot of us to understand how to go about taking our businesses forward. And can I invite Radhika back to please pick up a conversation with our fantastic guests who we think are great inspiration stories for all of us.
Thank you, Monica. To adapt to make it big in this new world, get inspired and inspire others. Keeping this in mind, we have put together an eminent panel for you all today. Our first panelist is Mrs. Sasha Rivankar from the United States of America. She is into cross border e commerce. Her companies include many online business portals like karmaplace.com, houseofkurti.com, ibejo.com, 1minutesari.com, i2cworld.com. All these companies are entirely homegrown and self funded. As a part of a cross border model, she also has a large seller on Amazon platforms, particularly Amazon India and UAE. She has several hundred Indian brands listed with her, including Mintra, that just recently signed on. She says the concept behind these websites was to make it easy for brands in India to sell their products in the United States of America, at the same time, make it easy for customers in America to purchase products from India. Sasha, we welcome you. Please say a few words about your business.
Thank you, Radhika. First of all, thanks for having me. It's an honor to be participate in this webinar and speak to so many of you. So basically, my background, I'm fortunate in that we come from a very entrepreneurial family. My father was one of the early entrepreneurs in India. He had in the early 70s been into data processing and then got into logistics. And so that has kind of always been our foundation, and we've always had a lot of encouragement to just go out and start your thing. For many, it's like, it's a huge risk. And for me, it just seems normal that if you have an idea, go out and pursue it. So it was in early 2000 that I first started working in India. I was born in Mumbai, but raised here in the US. And I had gone just for the summer to help out with a project that my dad had started with. That was the BPO. When I saw there was really nobody managing it or proper things in place, I started working there, and I wound up staying for 6 months, and we started the company. Since then, it's been like no looking back. I've been very tied to India and new ventures there. We got into e-commerce almost about 10 years ago. And that was because of the logistics company, which specializes in courier service between US and India. This industry was really getting beaten hard by the big companies like FedEx, UPS, DHL, taking away all the clients, offering low rates. We saw an opportunity in e-commerce where we could provide custom solutions. From this experience, myself and my brother, we thought, well, we can start our own e-commerce company. Let's try this. Nobody's selling US products in India. So that's our first venture. That's ibhejo.com. And most recently, a few years ago, we started karmaplace.com. And this was mainly came through my experience traveling to India, coming back. People always asking me, where did I get this? Can you get me one of those things next time you go? And so I thought, why is it so difficult for people in the US to get these things from India? So we started this website, and from there, there's been several different websites and projects that we've started. So it's been a long path, but everything has kind of interlinked and led us to where we are today.
So there are many apprehensions about selling online. Would you like to tell us what were your initial investments when you started your business?
Well, so yeah, ibhejo.com was our first website. And initially, at that time, you had to pretty much create custom websites from scratch. It was very expensive. I mean, it cost lakhs of rupees, and still the solution we got was not very great. And as it was our first venture into our own brand, into our own consumer service, there was a lot of learning. We started marketing, and that was very expensive too. So it was a struggle to kind of recoup the investments that we've put into it. We had someone in the company who suggested, well, Amazon has started in India, so why don't we sell our products on Amazon? So I thought, well, at first it seemed like, oh, Amazon is a competitor. They're a US company. They're going to sell US products. Why should we partner with them? Why should we sell on there? But we thought, let's just try it out. And so, there was no harm in trying it out. It doesn't cost anything to really start selling on Amazon. And basically, I mean, overnight, our sales were 10 times and 20 times. And I mean, there was no looking back. We were, I think, at a peak over 500 sales a day, just selling on Amazon. And so that gave us actually the volume and the revenue to put back into our brand and grow that. And the other great thing about that experience was that these marketplaces have very stringent requirements, compliances, customer service levels. So at first it seems like it's, they're very difficult to work with. However, to survive in an online environment, you have to provide that kind of customer service. So it really made us improve our processes and streamline how we work so that our own brand could also be successful.
So many of our members have established business. They would like to know, how can you guide them to start selling on e-commerce websites? I mean, what is a successful roadmap as you have walked this path flawlessly?
So, well, yeah, flaws are always there. it's always a learning curve. But first and foremost is your product. You have to be sure of what you're selling, what your advantages are in selling, and what your margins could be when you're selling. So before you even think about getting online, really study your product, study your market and what advantages you have, and what competitors are there. Because it all comes down to the product and people wanting that product. That going online nowadays is relatively easy with so many different marketplaces, from Flipkart to Amazon to Snapdeal. That is, relatively no investment. If you can also nowadays very easily build your own website through tools like Shopify, which is a platform we have adopted that really freed us from our technical problems, because Shopify is a platform that they pretty much give you a template, you customize basic things. You don't even need to know any coding, and you can pretty much manage your own website without a big technical team. So there are many options out there, but first and foremost, know what product you're selling and who you want to sell it to, and what advantages you would have for that product.
Thank you. So we know you have 2 young children. How do you manage to balance your personal and professional life? Was there a time when you felt that things are falling apart? How did you gather yourself?
Oh yeah, so I have a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old, and well, so I guess, there's a lot of talk about women doing it all. I don't really believe in that. I think that I've tried that and it hasn't worked for me. There's no use stressing yourself trying to do everything. I go by the rule of doing what's important. And so, that means I don't have to be with my kids at home all day. I can trust people. I can have my circle of people that I trust to do things that I can't normally do because I have to focus on other things. So I think it's really important to, whether it's in your professional work environment or whether it's at home, to have your trusted circle that you can rely on, that they'll get this done. It's all about delegation, I feel, at home and in the office as well. It was, just at the time that we were launching Karma Place, I had just delivered my second child, and that was a point we were having so many website issues. We were not able to get vendors on our website because we didn't have customers. We couldn't get customers because we didn't have products, and it was like very stressful time. But this idea was kind of another baby of mine. So I recall even just saying to my husband, maybe I shouldn't do this project. Why do I need to do another project? And it was like, I remember that moment where it became clear to me that I have to do this. I have to pursue this, because 5-10 years from now, it's not going to be that relevant how stressed I feel. It's going to be relevant whether I pursued what I wanted to. So yeah, I managed to organize my time better. Just when you think you don't have time for something else, you can actually find ways to make that time, and like I said, to delegate things to other people that you trust.
Wow. So Sasha, for which geographical market you opted for the services of Purushottam and Associates, And how did they help you out in the compliance work?
So Purushottam and Associates, yes, we started working with them for the UAE market. That's a market we entered just last year. And we were very hesitant to enter that market because we've never worked in the Middle East. We don't really know much about how business operates. We knew that compliance was very strict there. Purushottam Associates, they handled all of our tax issues, got us set up and streamlined the operations on that front for us. So that was a great experience, and thankful to them for that.
That's nice. Thank you, Sasha. I'm sure many of our members have lots of questions to ask from you. Members, please write your queries in the chat box and we will take them after some time. Our next panelist is Ms. Vishali Garg. Vishali is a 22-year-old and is currently finishing her master's degree in commercial studies. She is one of the youngest women e-entrepreneurs in India. She is the founder and owner of vStore, a firm which engages in e-commerce businesses. She is a perfect example for many aspiring women who have big dreams to pursue. We welcome you, Vishali.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for giving me this opportunity. I feel really humbled to be a part of this session.
So Vishali, the pleasure is all ours, and I'm sure you can be a great example and a great inspiration for all our members. So Vishali, I would like to ask you that you don't belong to a business background family. Your father is a bank manager and your mother is a teacher. So how did this idea come to your mind? And what were the initial hurdles you had when you started working?
Okay, you are absolutely right that I do not belong from a business family. In 2017, me and my brother was purchasing a product from Amazon, and we just get an idea that can anyone sell a product on it. Then that was the point when we start searching a product and a manufacturer and the logistic partner which we start business. And it took us around almost a year, and we launched our first product in 2018. And the initial hurdle we have is that we are very young and we do not have a money to invest in a business. So it was difficult for us to, but our parents were so helpful, and they really trust our ideas. They invest money in our business. And another challenge we faced was the logistic partners. As when we contact to different logistic partners, they were just saying that you are too young, you are not able to do your business and all that stuff. They are ignoring us totally. So that was a struggle we faced in our initial stage.
So Vishali, we all know you're still completing your master's in commercial studies. How do you balance between studies and work? As in, how many hours in a day do you put in a work like this? You have a very good turnover if you like to share it with our members here. And what is the hourly time that it's required every day that you need to put in a business like this?
Well, it becomes really difficult for me to manage my studies as well as my business. So because I'm a regular student in my college, so I have to attend my all classes. I cannot miss even a single class because it will affect my whole study. So I surely give 4 to 5 hours in a day to my business. On a weekend, as Saturday, Sunday is my off from my college, so I try to give 8 to 9 hours to business. So yeah, that.
Great. So how has becoming an entrepreneur affected your family life? So what was the initial investment, and how did Purushottam and Associates help you managing out your Indian compliance in case of e-commerce exports?
Okay. So initial investment which we invest in our business was around 2 to 3 lakh, which we, as I said in my previous answer also, that we borrowed that money from my parents' savings. So that was the investment we do. And then another question you have put that what Purushottam and Associate helped me.
Yes. How did
They are
yes.
sorry.
How did they help you in compliance?
Yeah. Their entire team is, I would say, their entire team is really helpful. They are when we talk first time to them, they were not ask any other question from us, and they were like very motivating to us, and they deal our all documentation, and also Purushottam and Associates helps us out the in our GST compliance, as we know that e-commerce export may require compliance, which can be different from normal business. Further, they also advise us on custom documentation, which we can benefit, and they also help us. And now I always think that I can totally depend on them. I do not worry about any GST return which I have to file. They always remember all the things. I do not want to make a call to them that they should do these things or that. They always, in fact, they remind me that you have to file a GST return and we want this and that.
Wow. Thank you so much. So we'll come back to you with questions later. I must say,
Sure.
after hearing your stories today, many of our members would get inspired. We all have heard that behind every successful man, there's a woman. Well, friends, it's the other way around here, as behind these successful women are these hardworking, dedicated men. So I will introduce you all to our next panelist who have handheld these women to become successful entrepreneurs. Mr. Nipin Bansal is a practicing chartered accountant. Having an experience of 16 years, he is currently positioned as a partner in Purushottam and Associates. He leads the firm and is currently looking after various dimensions like finance, insolvency court, income tax, global compliance, etc. He has managed to grab service agreements with Amazon, Flipkart, Alibaba, eBay in order to serve their sellers for their global and domestic compliance, thus making Purushottam and Associates one of its rare firm which is on-service provider for e-commerce giants like Amazon. As his clientele varies from new entrants to entities doing business in billions, his team is able to guide clients from scratch and further capable in providing end-to-end solution for the established business. Our fourth panelist today is Mr. Manmohan Dhiman. Mr. Manmohan is a practicing chartered accountant having 4 years of experience in Purushottam and Associates as a partner. He is actively looking after indirect taxation, e-commerce sales advisory in the firm. His portfolio includes global compliance advisory for destination marketplaces like United States of America, Canada, Europe, Middle East. He, along with his team, has been able to onboard as many as 350 sellers from India on the global selling platform. Therefore, his experience includes handholding, taxation, and custom matters not only in India but also in destination marketplace. Nipinji, Manmohanji, we welcome you. Please tell our members about your work profile.
Thank you so much, Radhika ji, for the generous introduction. I would also like to thank all the FICCI FLO members. It's such a pleasure, as always, being amongst you, especially Mrs. Manat Kothari, Mrs. Monica Chaudhary, for inviting us into the session. If I may just give a forward regarding what all the possibilities entail for women entrepreneurs on e-marketplaces. So we were just going through our client base, and we've seen that women entrepreneurs have really made it big when it comes to certain products such as handmade textiles, apparels, beauty products, home furnishing, home decor, paper products, furniture, kitchenware, artistry products, handicrafts, handy looms. Would you believe, Radhika ji, there are more than 60,000 products which are being currently, advertised by the women sellers on major marketplaces such as Amazon, eBay, Alibaba, Walmart, Flipkart, all these marketplaces, 60,000 products, would you believe? And as we speak, the figure that we have right now, there are about 62,000 women entrepreneurs from India itself, 62,000. I don't know how many are there from Punjab right now, or specifically from Ludhiana or Amritsar right now, but 62,000 is just a drop in an ocean for me. Since we started this practice, we already onboarded more than 370 sellers in the last 1 year alone. That means 30 sellers in every single month, and this list is growing every day. If I can just share a very interesting example with you. There's a woman entrepreneur, woman seller, Pali Ben. She's from Ahmedabad. She used to pick up, she was a rag picker. She used to pick up, so you know how rag pickers are, they pick up, from things from streets, and she used to feed a family of 4 people. So very hand to mouth, story. She came across an idea, somebody told her, somebody consultant like us, then that she can get into something big. And would you believe she is selling stationery items on Amazon Global, which are made out of recycled paper, same paper that she used to pick up from rags. And she is now living a life of dignity. She has freed her family from the ills of poverty and hunger, and she is doing phenomenally well. So this is one of the case stories. And I know from experience, and I know many of those members that you already have, you are from such fledgling business families. Your better halves are into textiles, so many other products. We are in manufacturing hub of India, known as Manchester. So why can't we, also take our dreams global? And when I'm saying Amazon or any of the marketplace, I'm not talking about Radhika ji, India alone. Yeah. I'm talking about US, where Sasha ji is. I know she is doing very, very well. She is very down to earth person, but she's doing phenomenally well. I know that, Vishali, would you guess Vishali is only about 21 or 22 years of age, and she's doing phenomenally well. I can't share the numbers because being an accountant, I have that, I have to keep the matter very strict, but she's doing phenomenally well. And so when we talk about marketplaces, Australia, Canada, US, France, Germany, UK, Italy, Spain, Singapore, Middle East, including Saudi Arabia and Dubai. So can you envisage how big is the marketplace? You can cater to easily about 3 billion people. Such is a marketplace that you can totally take your vision global. It's just a matter of start. And let me also tell you that this is no rocket science. This is very, very basic stuff. You just need to apply some mind and do the basic integrations of things, paperwork, tax registrations, your bank account details, your credit account details, your telephone number, all those things in handy, and we can take you all to these marketplaces. So it is such an interesting times you're living in right now, that you can put up a product in India and that it sells in anywhere across the world. So I, through your medium, through FICCI FLO, I would like to congratulate you all for taking this initiative and for starting it over here. And we have such wonderful examples in Sasha ji and Vishali ji presenting today, telling us that they smarted. Vishali started only about 2 lakhs of capital, and she is now one of the biggest women entrepreneurs in this region. She's from Patiala, would you believe? And so that is it. So Radhika ji, thank you so much for inviting us in.
It's been amazing, and I hope many of our members connect to you for guidance. I'm very excited. Let's see where things go. So just to get a little more clarity, can I ask you a few more questions?
Please do, Radhika ji.
What are the regulatory requirements for exporting? Are there any registrations that are required?
So Radhika ji, I was just elaborating on this. So this is no rocket science. This is very, very basic stuff. You just need to have your KYC in place. There is PAN card, Aadhaar card. You just need to have a bank account. You need to have a credit card. You need to have your basic registrations like PAN, GST. So basic stuff. And you need to have an idea on the products that you'll be selling. So let's say if you are into hand furnishings. So let's say if you are into clothing. So you need to know which marketing are you going to pitch on, what should be your indicative pricing, what should be your strategy. And so the basic things, if you have all these things in place, let me assure you, you are good to go. Today itself, 4th of August, 5:31 p.m., you are good to go.
Wow.
Nothing is holding you back.
I wish it was so easy as you're making it sound. So the next question for you is, what are the category-wise exports benefits that the Indian government offers us?
So as I already discussed, so apparels is one of the biggest lines over here. Handmade products, beauty products, home decor, paper products, kitchenware, artistry products, handicrafts, handy looms. So the list goes on. I would also like to share with you that there's a particular program for women entrepreneurs and artisans and karigars, which is known as Amazon Saheli program, SAHELI. So if somebody is listening in this program, though, if they can go on Google and type in Amazon Saheli, so there would be a lot of success stories of women entrepreneurs, a basic out of the products that are selling there over there. So once you do your basic research, and then we can maybe set up a meeting. And so these are the basic products. So 60,000 products are up for selling on the global e-marketplaces.
So what is a courier mode of shipping? Will we get a shipping bill if we send it in this mode?
Yeah, so we have a concept of called courier shipping, which is also known as popularly as CSB. So what is CSB? So let's say if you are dispatching some products, let's say jewelry, to overseas markets through couriers, which would be DHL, FedEx, UPS. So then we are using a courier mode of shipping. Then these courier companies provide you a shipping intimation, which is in the shape of CSB5. So if you have that CSB5 with you, then you can not only export, but you can also claim a host of benefits from Government of India, but very popularly known as MEIS, Merchandise India Export Scheme, which gives you incentive of 5% of every export that you do. 5%, would you believe it? So if you were to do a export turnover of 10 lakh rupees, I can assure you that you can get 50,000 rupees provided you have basic documents in place.
So what is the electronic bank realization certificate? Do I need?
Again, when you get an export payment into your account, so the bank which receives your export payment, it provides you a realization certificate of foreign exchange, which is known as an EBRC. So that is a proof that you made an export and then you realize the payment. So this EBRC will help you, or EFIRC, Foreign Investment Administration Certificate, which will help you in realizing the export benefits which are being extended by Government of India for incentivizing the exports.
So when the payment comes, when we sell a product online, does it come in the branch or in my bank, or it comes to you and then?
This is a very good question, Radhika ji. So in the times that we're living in, the banking channels have also opened up considerably. So if you can share a personal example with you. So we are also exporting services across the world. So many of our clients who are in Canada, US, UK, and Canada, we just received, we are consulting a number of people overseas, like Sasha ji. So if I were to bill her and receive the payment, so it is not necessary that I'll get my payment only in, let's say, HSBCs of the world or Citibank or State Bank of India or HDFC. There are also online payment channels, popularly which include PayPal, Payoneer, Ping Pong, which help you realize the payments without you having to establish a need of opening a bank account outside India. So very fast mechanisms. The conversion rates of the Forex have come down considerably. And we can, as of now, sitting here in Ludhiana, we can help you realize payments from practically 160 countries from across the world without opening a bank account overseas.
So in case we do a business and so when I have to make the payment, should I deduct the TDS, withholding tax on the fees, commissions charged by Amazon, or it should be just direct?
So again, a very interesting question. What has happened of recently is, so Government of India, this has now come out with an equalization levy. So if you were to make a payment beyond a certain threshold, which I would request Manmohan ji sitting alongside me to elaborate. So if you make a payment beyond certain threshold, then you have to deduct a TDS, which is a minimal thing, will not bother you much. So this is a new concept which has come in, but if your payments are low, then you need not worry about this.
Okay. So last question, at least from me, then I'll open it to the audiences, is that if any of a member comes up to you tomorrow, they have a product, what is the roadmap that you're going to be helping them out? I'm sure they would want to know, all of us.
So the first thing before anybody needs to come to our office, what we're going to do is we're going to just share a simple checklist of basic things that we require from their end, and just need to ensure that the first visit and the first meeting is fruitful. So let's say if we need 7 things and we know that you have 4 or 5 things of them, then we can arrange the rest part of it. And once we have the 7 things, then we are good to go. We will be able to list you on global marketplaces. Any country that you have researched on, you would want to sell, we will do your all the registrations over there. We'll do all the returns aspect over there. We'll help you with the money repatriation, money realization. So everything from A to Z of e-commerce, we are here, and we just need a basic documentation which you can email to you priorly, which you can also do after this session. We can send you a message involving a list of all those documents that we need. So once we have that, we are good to go.
Okay, great. So, well, it's been a very informative session today. I'm sure many of our members are waiting to ask their queries. Also, members, we had sent out forms to be filled in the flow groups. Anyone who's keen on joining the incubation and mentorship program, please fill the forms, as the last day is approaching soon. A special shout out to each member who has enrolled for this program. It gives me immense hope to see the number of aspiring entrepreneurs. It gives me hope that women in our country have a bright future. Now, I would like to call Mrs. Monica Chaudhary to lead the conversation. Monica, over to you.
Hello. Hi, Nipun. Hi, Manmohan. Are you there, guys?
Hi, ma'am. How are you doing?
Hi, thank you so much. That was extremely insightful. I believe Radhika has covered some very, very important points with you. Would you like to show us some kind of presentation which you said you would like to share with us? Can I give you
Yes, ma'am. So
your
Manmohan ji
screen to
is
do
sitting
that?
alongside me. Yeah, so Manmohan ji is sitting alongside me. So he is one of the very, very few people in this country of 130 crore who is actually helping small and medium enterprises realize these dreams on taking the businesses global through e-marketplaces. So I will hand over this now to Manmohan ji for him to present the presentation that he has prepared for this session.
Welcome, Manmohan. We're looking forward for this. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir, for such a generous kind of introduction. Let me share my screen first with the presentation. We do have a basic presentation, which shall guide you all. How you can take your business globally with minimal kind of compliance and other requirements. Can you guys see my screen?
Okay.
Okay. So in this PPT, we'll cover the topics how you can take your business online through e-commerce portals like Amazon and other, and of course you can take your business global through e-commerce portals. So why take your business globally? Of course, to increase your brand value. There's a short-term vision where you can say that you need to make your product successful. The long-term vision says that you need to make your brand successful. And to make your brand successful, you need to, try to reach as many as customers in the world. And so, and you should reach it at a position where one should recognize your product by the name of your brand. Not by the name of the product itself. So that should be the vision, and to fulfill that vision, you should try to, explore the cross global boundaries. So this is a marketplace where actually Amazon is operating right now. It is in North America continent. Of course, we all know that Amazon is based out of USA. One can generate sales sitting in India into USA. It is in Canada. European market, we can say it is in France, Italy, Spain, Germany, UK. Mid East, it is in UAE, and very recently it has also started its operations in KSA, Saudi Arabia. Of course, India is a great market for Amazon, and then Japan, Australia, and the other like Singapore. So this slide will let you know why I should start my global exports through e-commerce. The reason is this is a very simplified process. One needs not to, do research at its end. It is a readily available market for you. Say, we all know that people search for products on Amazon on daily basis. So it is a readily available market for you. You can get your sales generated through these brand value of these kind of e-commerce marketplaces. Branding of business globally, that's another opportunity to go through Amazon and other eBay and other kind of players. When your product's name gets searched by your brand's name, that is the time when you come to fulfill your brand's value. Of course, it is a settled B2C process as of now. Amazon is biggest market in the world for the B2C process. Everyone who is in a need of consumer products, the Amazon is providing their needs. B2B opportunities are also there. One needs to understand that if their products are really business related, not consumer related, then they can also explore the opportunities over the e-commerce like Alibaba. And in fact, Amazon business is also a new thing which will come into the market and will have a mature market in coming days. And you can also have the market for your B2B products also. Recovery of debts not an issue. Of course, on e-commerce marketplace, you have a liberty to sell across the globe, and without having any worries that your recoveries will be an issues for you, because at 90% of the time the payment is in advance, and of course it is going to be realized through Amazon in a proper modes. So you will have a proper date in your hand when you are going to realize your funds once the sales is generated, mostly in fortnightly in the case of Amazon. Get your products standardized, of course, and of course due to changing habits of the world population, if we have an agreement with kind of stores overseas, and we try to get our products placed in the stores overseas, then it is a very less chance that we'll get the customers as in compare with if we have the products at online stores like Amazon, because the habits of the world population are going to change because of this COVID era. So we expect that business on e-commerce will be a huge opportunity in coming days. This slide explains about warehousing concept. Amazon has a warehousing concept in place which provides a facility to fulfill a particular order to the consumer in a day or two. How is that possible? I'm sitting here in India. I can place my goods by estimating my demands into the warehouse of Amazon in USA, Singapore, and other marketplace. So whenever the order comes from the destination market, the buyer, when he places the order, the goods are placed into his nearby warehouses already. So from there on, the Amazon places the delivery to the buyer within the time period of 2 or 4 days. And with this, I can really compete with the sellers in their destination market also, not it from the sellers in India. I can compete with the sellers located in the USA also. So this concept is very much, you can say, with the Amazon, and you can explore this to generate the sales. This is a forecast as per the Bank of America. You can see the steep in the curve in the last phase to 27% even. This is the share of the marketplace which is expected of the market which is expected to be covered by the e-commerce sales itself. So if one can look at this graph, it can be imagined that in coming days the e-commerce sales will have a major share in the market rather than the offline sales. So as we have already discussed, these are the basic products which are doing well in the global markets as of now on the Amazon and other e-commerce portals like home decor and handicrafts, health kits and medical supplies. Due to this COVID era, masks are selling like very hot item. So kitchen storage, sports, textile products, shoes, bags, and other kind of consumer goods. So these are the goods which are on top as of now. So one can come up with the question that what are the cost it going to bear with respect to this e-commerce sales. So of course there's a cost related to these marketplaces. One is going to pay monthly fixed fees. Along with this, you will also be paying referral fee, which will be per order or per sale of your turnover. Then there's an FBA storage fees of the Amazon and other e-commerce players. So this is around. This is around, these are the figures which are based on the USA market. around $40 a month, which is around 2,800 rupees in India. So this is the monthly fees, and 15 to 20% you will be paying to the Amazon on your orders. Yes, your cost is going to get an additional burden because of these marketplace fees being charged by the Amazon and other marketplaces. But believe me, these markets like USA, UAE, and other markets, these are not price sensitive markets. These are quality sensitive markets. So you can charge even premium to these fees from your buyers if you are providing a good quality product or good service to your product. These are the prerequisites. What is required to before you go into the e-commerce sales? As we've already discussed, these are very basic things. One should have the GST registration. He should have He should have generated the shipping bills for his all the shipments which are to be sent abroad. AD code is a thing. It is an authorized dealer code of your bank, which is required to be shared with your port of export. You can say you are required to share your bank's AD code to your customs department. Because when you realize the payments in your bank account, you will have they will have the knowledge that this is your bank and this was the shipping bill filed for your payments. IEC it's an import export code. It's a one-day process to generate the IEC these days. You need not to have anything in addition. Just a PAN card will be an eligible document to generate the IEC over the portal. Postal bill of export is an alternative of shipping bill. If you are making the payment, making the exports through post, then this comes into the picture, except from couriers. Then there are some destination marketplace compliance which are required to be taken care of, but these are also not you can say very much kind of an hindrance things which comes into the place while selling e-commerce globally. There's a concept of importer on record or importer permit. Of course, we are the exporters here. We are sending the goods into the destination markets, but some of these marketplaces like Amazon, they do not take the burden of entering into the buying or sales into the transaction as principally. They just facilitates your transactions, and you are the ultimate seller and to the buyer in USA. So the formalities which are required to be taken care of, like customs formality, not only in India, but also into the US marketplace, are required to be taken care by the seller itself, because buyer will get the door-to-door delivery only. The Amazon won't put the burden on the Amazon itself or on the buyers. So the seller here is required to pay the import duties of the destination markets also, and for this he may require to hire an importer on record for their shipments from the destination marketplace, depending upon the threshold of the shipment. Further, the brand registration concept. Of course, you might have your brand registered in India, but going into the globally, you should have your brand also registered in the destination marketplace. This is a recommendation, not the mandatory requirement. Reason for this is like countries like USA, they do follow the concept of first to apply. Which means they do allot the registry of a particular brand to the person who applies to them first. So in case if you are doing good in USA and someone as your competitor copies your name of the brand and he applies in first place to the USA authorities for that particular brand under the category of product in which you are dealing, then the brand may go to him instead of using it first by your end. So this is the thing which you should be aware of, and you should if you are very much conscious about your brand's image, you should go for the brand registry while doing the business online. There are in destination marketplace compliance, there may be the requirement of the VAT and sales tax of the destination country also, because as we have explained that sales are generated when the goods reaches the warehouses which are placed in the destination marketplace itself. So when the sales are generated, the goods are placed in the land of the foreign country. So with the subject to the laws of the land, you may be asked to deposit the sales tax on that particular sales in that country also. That is the law in Europe and Middle East as of now, and people are getting their registration as a non-resident under VAT and GST under these countries and they are paying their VAT and GST on quarterly or monthly basis, whatever the frequency is in their respective countries. But in case of USA, there's a marketplace taxation system prevailing, which means the marketplace player like Amazon will collect and pay the taxes itself, and it won't be allowed to shift the burden of paying and filing the returns on the sellers. So in USA, you can have the business, without taking care of the sales tax and other things. So we come up with the question that do we need to incorporate any entity in the destination marketplace? To answer that, it is not mandatorily required to have any entity in your destination marketplace where you are dealing. You can, legally operate your business from India itself, from your source country itself, but it may ease off some compliance if you are having the entity at later stage when your volume of the threshold increases such. So that is so that was this with this slide. Further, of course, the banking regulations, as we have already discussed. So as this slide has been already discussed, we won't discuss it further. And Radhika ji, it's over to you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. It was a very well explained PPT, Manmohan ji. And I can see that the chat box is full now with questions. Mona, did you want to come in before the questions and talk to? I can't hear you.
No, Radhika, please go ahead. It was a very, very comprehensive explanation from both Nipun and Manmohan. Let's have the people take an opportunity and ask questions and speak to all the 4 speakers, whoever they want to.
Radhika, we would like to call Ritika Bajaj, who is, from, and yeah, Ritika Bajaj and Nehal, who are here. Are they here?
Yeah, this is
Nehal?
yes, I'm there.
Emmett, 1 second. Nehal, is that you?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, Nehal, welcome. Would you like to speak something? Nehal is the National Incubation Head. Well, we welcome you here, Nehal. Would you like to add on something, or would you like to share your views here, Nehal? Nehal?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Just give me a moment. Could you repeat what you'd like me to share with you as a comment?
Okay, I would like to share her professional summary.
Nehal is there?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm there.
Yeah. Nehal started her career in 1995 as an entrepreneur in Mumbai. She has close to 20 years of work experience across HR, finance, and business operations. At National Institute, she plays a key role in growing 15-member team to a 400-member. Neha, would you like to share how incubation could help our ladies, who want to, would want to start their own new business? So can you share here with our ladies?
Sure. So firstly, thank you so much, Manit, for inviting me to this session. And I can see what a wonderfully curated session. Just how you've got everybody in, right from people who are in their own businesses, young startups, and then of course Nipun and Manmohan sharing all the different challenges that they can help you overcome or help you and partner with you to actually make your business go live. So very wonderfully curated event. So kudos to you and your entire team for putting together this session. As for the request in terms of how incubation can help, we've had one session where we did a really deep dive in terms of, how can we introduce incubation to our startups. But just a quick note, I feel that if we have startups that have, meeting certain internal criteria that, if they're typically in the space of having completed 1 year or, and are within the age group of about 5 years, and they already have a product, customers that are actively working with them, billing is happening, we can look at how we can then filter them through certain screening criteria and take them into incubation. The good part is that today we have an association with 11 incubation centers across India that operate in various sectors. So I do believe that we have a really fabulous setup that we have developed today as a platform to be able to offer to our members to leverage of these resources. So be it mentoring internally or be it incubation. We feel that there is a huge opportunity for the Flow members to leverage, to look at how can they actually get into an incubation space. I'm sure that when we come to the stage of actual incubation, that could be a more specific conversation. But I really wanted to appreciate today what you all have put together as an event, the speakers, and what you all have all shared as a part of your journeys, or how as a partnership with you, you can help us. So I'm really glad to see the way each of the chapters of Flow is really driving entrepreneurship, supporting startups, and really going out of their way to make it a very exciting journey and a very supportive journey by the Flow community to help their members. So fabulous work that I'm seeing here. And Radhika, you're a fabulous host there, doing some fantastic work in terms of how you're bringing everybody together. So fantastic. Thank you for having me too.
It's totally our pleasure, Nehal. Thank you so much. We also have Ritika Bajaj from Ahmedabad. And Ritika is an important CTM member. Ritika is the Flow director, is from Ahmedabad Flow, director of Raja B Jobs, a complete solution to all HR needs, pan-India, MBA by qualification, holding a district level position in Rotary, Lions Club, and she is on board of director, also a part of many such organizations and holding key position with them. Ritika, can you hear me here?
Yes.
Would you like to add on something? How mentoring? Yeah, sorry.
Definitely. It's my pleasure to be here. And on behalf of Bindu, actually Bindu is heading the cell, but because of some emergency, she could not attend. So I was invited to take care of the whole event. And I think fabulously curated. First of all, kudos to the event, the way you all have taken forward. You have catered to mentoring, as well as I think after the session of Nipun and Manmohan, I think we'll have a lot of more work for Nehal, because I think a lot of more incubation will start coming. A lot of new ideas from young entrepreneurs, budding entrepreneurs will be starting. But just to put a little bit, because I'm taking care of the Flow mentoring part, Flow mentor and mentee relationship is a very important part in the organization, and I would request each member from Ludhiana and Amritsar to fill up the form either as a mentor or as a mentee. Mentor and mentee, the difference is the mentee part. Like if a lot of young entrepreneurs, they have ideas, like just recently we heard about Vaishali. She had the idea, she had the whole thing, but luckily she got into with Purushottam Associates, and they were like acting like a mentor for her. And then the whole thing came out to be in a beautiful manner. So I think we should not hesitate to be a mentee and apply for the mentorship. And mentor-mentee relationship, I think Flow has, and One Flow has given an amazing platform. I think COVID has done something good, where the whole Flow has come nationally at one platform, and we are looking forward for a lot of mentor-mentee relationship at the national level. So that is one part. And if any members have any query regarding the Flow mentor and mentee relationship, then definitely I think Ludhiana and Amritsar have amazing team and very enthusiastic team, because recently we had a seminar with them and explaining. I think they have all the question answered. So amazing about that. So I think that's all. But I think it's a very beautiful relationship and beautiful platform which Flow is offering. So I think we all members should definitely try to take the utmost of this. And there can be various divisions where you need mentorship. Like you might be very good at the idea stage, or you are already running your business, but you might be facing some issues regarding how to restructure your firm in the HR point of view, or from the taxation point of view. Like a lot of ladies, as I also mentioned, that they have the myth that why take GST. So again, all those things, I think mentoring would help them a lot. Over to you, and Radhika, you and Amritsar, Monica, everybody has been Manat. You all have been too good for words, the kind of enthusiasm I see in you people are amazing. So over to you, Radhika. If you have few questions, I'm there to answer.
So I'll call upon Shweta Jindal to take up the audience's questions, please. Shweta?
Thank you, Radhika. Good evening, everybody. We have a tag box full for our guests. Let me take up all of them one by one quickly. Sweta Sraf from Delhi wants to know that logistics is really a challenge from India in reference to gold and silver jewelry. What is the best logistic partner in terms of cost versus reliability? Of course, we have an IEC. So Nipunji and Sasha can help answer.
Yes. I mean, with respect to the gold and silver and jewelry, Amazon does have some tie-ups with the specific logistic partners who don't, who don't deal in the other general products, but they are specifically being empaneled with Amazon for this gold and jewelry products. We can, get the names of these logistic products after hearing from the Amazon, and then we can share with you so that you can share with the members of the association, of course. Whether they do it independently of the Amazon, we need to check with them and we can revert back after that.
All right. Thank you, Manmohan ji. Shweta also wants to know that during these COVID times and its impact, does the US still remain an alluring market for Indian sellers, especially the coming holiday season?
So I can, from our experience, there was quite a dip a few months ago, especially when New York, New Jersey, which are major markets, were hit. We've seen things picking up. But yes, the market for the formal wears like lehengas, saris, and those kinds of things has dipped quite a bit. But we do still see demand for items that are formulated.
All right. Thank you, Sasha.
Shweta, can I interrupt in between?
Yeah, Sasha, would you like to come again? Because we couldn't hear a bit what you said in the end.
Oh, I see. So what I said was we did see quite a dip across the board a few months ago when the COVID situation started. But now we have seen things pick up, but more in categories of casual wear and everyday sort of items. Those categories that are event focused or very formal, like saris, lehengas, more kind of heavier jewelry, that demand has dipped quite a bit. I'm guessing mostly because events are postponed and there's not that much happening as far as ethnic wear. But as far as casual wear like kurtis and other non-event related items, it's been good. And overall e-commerce is increasing in the US because people are not going to the stores to buy things.
Shweta ji, if I can just supplement Sasha ji's remarks about the US market. Of what we know, US market is the single biggest market on this planet when it comes to Amazon. If the US population is about 330 million, which is about 33 crores roughly, 33 to 35 crores, 80% of the US population shops on either Amazon or Walmart, number one. So during the lockdown COVID period, what was happening was all these people who were in homes, they had just one task, which was sitting over the television, staying at homes and shopping on Amazon. So Amazon was so flush with orders in this point of time, they added a record number of jobs in US alone, record number of jobs, and they literally had to get people into Amazon warehouses to work over there. So US for the foreseeable future will remain the biggest market. And what do we have for FICCI FLO members particularly? What we envisage is handicrafts, handmade products, paper products, apparels. So these and beauty products. These should be the biggest and hot selling items in Amazon because there's a huge market in US alone. And then there are other markets like Canada, Mexico, Australia, Singapore, France, Germany, Italy, Spain, UK, Dubai, and Middle East. So big markets waiting for the women entrepreneurs.
Nipun, What is your understanding on markets in the US for decorative masks and more products which are very COVID related? Is
Uh,
Amazon showing any trend onto it?
Yes, decorative masks perhaps is one of the hottest selling items right now because the US consumer is the one of the most what you call the outgoing consumer over there. It's the consumer that pays the top dollar for the best what you call for the most fashionable product over there, which is in the market right now. So when you say face masks or those items which have little been moved recently of late, so these are very hot selling items over the in
So the
the
basic decorative masks do not have any government embargo to them.
decorated masks don't, but N95 masks, I know there's a
And surgical 3-ply have an embargo.
yeah. So anything that is cloth made, which is a designer product, decorative, it's simple piece of cloth. It's something which has been structured that way. So
So
there's no bar on it.
it can be sent as the category of a mask, and Amazon is taking new companies which are enlisting with them.
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. Now that's a great way forward for the categories that you spoke about.
All
Anything else, girls? Yeah.
Yes. Now, may I please request Neha Gupta, our junior vice chairperson, to please ask her question for
Okay.
Sasha.
Thanks, Shweta. Hi, Sasha. So my question to you is, what are some tactics that your company can deploy to boost repeat purchase rates and increase customer retention? And what's your competitive advantage and why can't it be copied?
So as far as customer retention, for me, that starts before the sale is made. Making sure that you're going to have a happy customer, especially when we're dealing with cross-border e-commerce, where many times the customer hasn't seen the product or hasn't even seen a product like that. You want to make sure that you're being transparent with the customer about the product, that your product description is accurate, that your delivery time SLAs are actually what you commit them to be. These are two main areas of customer dissatisfaction, where if they buy a product, they receive it, and it's not what they thought it was, it creates huge dissatisfaction. It's difficult to get that customer back. The same thing if they're expecting the product in a week and it's taken now 3 weeks and they haven't gotten it. So first off, making sure that the actual product and the customer expectations are aligned. And as far as getting that customer, again, once you have a happy customer, it's relatively easy to get that customer again. You have your regular emailers, newsletters, sales offers. There's also social media, incentivizing your customers to follow you on Instagram or Facebook, so you can continuously update them with new and interesting products and offers that you have. And as far as our competitive advantage, so one thing is we come from a logistics background, so that is something that is helpful. But one of the main advantages we have is basically our understanding of the US and Indian market on both sides. So understanding the customer here and what they're looking for, and also understanding the vendors and the manufacturers in India and what they're looking for. It's not that easy actually to bridge that cultural gap. And so I think that's one of our very strong advantages that we have. And that's why even though we are not the first company or website, for example, to sell lehengas or kurtis online to the US market. However, we're able to convert customers from other websites. And it's one of the reasons we started the company also, because I had purchased some garments from another company, and the experience was, so bad. The quality of the product wasn't what I was expecting. So I think that's a very important advantage that we have in understanding both sides of the market.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sasha?
Thank you,
Yes.
Neha. Thank you, Sasha. Now let me call upon Samira Oler, our flow member, who has a question for Sasha again.
Yeah, Shweta, 1 minute. Can I just complete the last question with her for a second?
Of course, Mona.
So, Sasha, you said that the reason you kind of had better quality compared to your other guys was because are you also taking care of quality control while you're importing? Or
yes. So that's one of the key components of what we do with PermaPlace.
So if I have to register myself on your website to sell for that matter, so will there be a compliance which I have to follow?
So basically, the compliance is that the product has to be as it is described in the listing, what you've given. And then instead of the product being shipped directly to the customer, the product gets shipped to us first, where we check it. And then we quality approve it and then ship it to the customer. And that's because cross-border, then the logistics cost it's too much to ship a product that we know the customer is not going to be happy with. So we do that check in India itself.
That's fantastic, because that I think is the biggest challenge when it comes to any online product which you've not seen.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Mona. Thank you, Sasha. Over to you, Samira. Please ask your question.
Thanks, Shweta. Hi, Sasha.
Hi, Samira.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you, Sasha, Ludhiana is a city of budding entrepreneurs, and there are a lot of young girls who want to start up new ventures. So how could the association with you help them to make it a win-win situation for both? Like, you know, a young entrepreneur has started a new line of clothing and she wants to sell it on your website. She sends you over, you like it. So how is the finance taken care of?
So, so how things work with us is basically for the vendor in India, it's the same as if you're making a sale in India. For the customer in the US, it's like they're buying from the US company. So that's how we make it easy on both sides. So basically how it goes, you register with us. You send us your catalog of products, and basically we don't charge a commission. You give us your selling price, and then we have additional costs that get added to it. Like we take care of the international shipping, we take care of all the marketing and all that. So we come to the final selling price. But when the sale is made, you receive then your full selling price for the product.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Samira. Thank you, Sasha. Now may I invite Harpreet Sandhu, our flow member, who has a question to ask from Vishali. Over to you, Harpreet.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for sharing such valuable information through this webinar. Sasha, Vishali, Nitin, Munji. My question is for Vishali. On the online portal, the genuineness of the new customer is always questionable. When a visitor signs up on an e-website, we only have nothing but just the address, the phone number entered by them. And if those visitors are a scam, and if they order cash on delivery purchase to a fake address, and if this happens frequently, and it can be a significant transactional overhead for the company, how can we curtail such risks?
Well, there are some policies which are made by Amazon for a payment purpose. So the thing is, when we list a product on Amazon, we have to show a thing which we actually are selling. So the picture of a product all depicts about our product. So that is the thing which customers really rely that this seller is a good, and the seller will give us a great product and it will be a great experience. So that's it.
Okay. I'm sorry, my question is actually about the destination address.
Sorry?
For the destination address, for example, you know, a customer has ordered a cash on delivery product from us, and the address where the product is going is a fake address. It's just a scam. So if this happens frequently, so it is a significant transactional overhead on the company. So such risks, how can we curtail them?
As I have been running this business from past 2 years, I haven't seen that case. So I think.
Okay, and one more.
The orders are, I think, prepaid. So a cash on delivery option. Yeah.
All right.
May I come in this, ma'am?
Yes, please.
Sure. There's actually in global market, I mean, there's no cash on delivery option being given by the Amazon to the buyers.
Okay.
So
Right.
at 100% time, these are always prepaid orders.
Prepaid
So
order.
yes, so the chances of getting return is very low as compared to the Indian market.
Right. Yes, this was another question that I wanted you to cater, Manmohanji. How much is the percentage of the return that we receive? Certainly, there's a return policy of every e-commerce company. So how does that go by?
Actually, it depends on the product. Say if I am, my product is like shoes and garments kind of thing. So the percentage is, higher than the other products. But if it is kind of a product, which is, nothing to do with the size and other things. So the percentage significantly comes down of the returns. So to generalize, it won't be, good idea to generalize the fixed percentage to all of the products in a particular market. So yes, there are some returns, but those are significantly lower than the Indian market.
Yeah, I wanted to particularly ask about apparel because that's what I do. Yeah.
I can get the figure from the Amazon, but as our experience with the sellers, this can be as low as 2 to 3% as of now. And again, the Amazon guys will let you always recommend you to cover this 2 to 3% of this kind of you can say cost in your list price as a blanket figure to all of your products, so that as and when you will face any kind of return thing, you will get yourself covered for it in the cost of the products which you have for which you don't get the return.
Right. Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Harpreet. Thank you, Manmohanji. Now, may I please request Reena Kaushal, our Joint Secretary, to please ask her question. Over to you, Reena.
Yeah. Hi, Vishali. My question is, cyber security, competition, and order fulfillment are top 3 challenges faced by e-commerce business. How one should deal with this?
As I am currently selling on Amazon, so I don't need any cyber security, as Amazon is very have all these things in their hand. So, but I believe that I have a product with me, and I think that I should provide a product which the customers like and all that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Reena. Thank you, Vishali. Now, may I please request our floor member, Rajni Sethi, to ask her question. Over to you, Rajni ji.
So my question to Mr. Nipun is, how does e-commerce handles the efficiency in B2B e-commerce models, the checking, the verifications? How are they managed to the e-commerce platform?
Good evening, Mr. Sethi.
Good evening.
So, a very interesting question. As of now, we've been speaking mostly about B2C. That is the product going into the hands of the eventual customer rather than a B2B platform. For B2B platforms, we have other marketplaces. Of course, we can discuss it, offline as well. So, but when it comes to the product acceptability, placement, it's all a trial and error method. So once you're placing your products online and you see that there are constant stream of returns, there are some quality issues, then you keep on improvising those issues and taking a seller feedback. So what these models help is, so let's say when we talk about Walmart, Amazon, Alibaba, So their analytics is so strong. So whenever you get a return of your product, so then you would know what actually went wrong. Was the size wrong? Was the product quality not to the mark? So it is so data driven, every single piece of it, that you can actually improvise your product number of times, so that gets ready accepted in the market, and then you eventually bring down your returns to a very low level over a period of time. But this will actually take time to build on. Initially, it's going to be a bit, what you call a bit tricky, but eventually things will settle down. And we've seen a number of our clients that, let's say, if you already put in a couple of years, then you actually get a hang of it, and then you are, doing very good numbers.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Nipun.
Thank you, Nipun-ji. Thank you, Rashmi-ji. Now, may I please call upon Nandita Bhaskar, our past chairperson, to ask a question. Over to you, Nandita.
Yeah, thanks, Shweta. Hi, Nipun. Hi, Manmohan, and everybody else on the panel. My question to you, Nipun, are very short questions. One, would you find more traders on Amazon or more manufacturing personnel, like people who trade or people who actually manufacture the product? What they, like you said, beauty products. There's so many of them that we see which are traded, like which are procured from somewhere else, a label put on and then further resold. Which one, according to you, is more visible on Amazon?
Good evening, ma'am. Wonderful question. So let me answer it this way. So rather than traders, I would want to rename this as third-party manufacturers or contract manufacturers. Okay. So what happens is, let's say if you under your own brand, let's say Nandita Bhaskar brand, would want to get into beauty products. It's a natural progression for you. So let's say if you would want to get into beauty products, so what you'll do is, if you, let's say, advertising lotions, beauty creams, or any range of products, and then you initially list a quantity of, let's say, 50 number, and you had actually sourced this from a third-party manufacturer under a no contract arrangements, just a simple B2B transaction.
Correct.
And let's say the acceptability is good, and over a period of time, this 50 becomes 500 or 5,000 or 50,000. Then you would want to get into a model wherein you would want to have this developed at a third-party location under your own brand, on your own specs and quality parameters, so that your brand is being built over a period of time. And then when people have that product in your hand under your brand, so then they are assured that this is a good product to go by. So what we are seeing in many the examples right now, so once you achieve that economies of scale, then most of the sellers are under the contract manufacturing mode, or they are manufacturing themselves. Under a trading model, you can only go so far. You can't go far enough. So either it is own manufacturing or contract manufacturing. So let's say from a Ludhiana and Amritsar perspective, we have two perspectives over here, Ludhiana and Amritsar. What is Ludhiana very good at? Ludhiana is very good at apparels.
Yeah.
And Amritsar is very good at something like shawls, stoles, handlooms, and home furnishings. So let's say if any woman entrepreneur from this segment wants to start, let's say, sourcing from her own friend's factory, and eventually the size build up, then you can have this as a model where 100% of the manufacturing is done under contract arrangement, and then you have volumes taking care of it.
Perfect. Fair enough.
Can I ask a question?
Sorry. Is that Mridula aunty?
Yeah. I wanted to ask something.
All right. I'll ask my second question after you are done. Over to Mridula aunty, please.
Hello, Nipun-ji. I am myself an entrepreneur, and we are on a couple of websites, online websites, with our brand. My question right now is, when you're saying exports, like when we get orders from Amazon or somebody else, I think we don't even want to know the name of the customer. We are sending it to the Amazon people, and then for yourself further selling it to the customer. Is it like this? That's what my office has just told me. I was talking to my office right now. Yeah.
So good evening, ma'am. It's such a pleasure being amongst you.
My brand is Shingora. We are
I know,
already
I
on your.
I know your sons Amiji and Anuji well. We have also been working with the company for last about 5-6 years, a number of things. So if I can just add, so you are absolutely right in that aspect. So this is, it's not the only sales model for you. It's another sales model for you. So what does Amazon provide to you? It provides an additional reach than that one might not have been able to go far right now. Let's say if you were selling predominantly into US and Canada right up till now, and you're getting another 11 markets along with it on a single login at a single domain on your on the Amazon place, wherein if you're listing your products, these products are going to 13 marketplaces. And the beauty of this aspect is you don't need to take care of the warehousing. You don't need to find the customer will find you. And once your product reach goes up, your quality is well accepted, then the customers would be like buying like crazy. So what was happening right now in, at least in US, in there is 4-5 months, that the consumers had actually gone bonkers. They were buying literally left and right because they had nothing else to do. They were sitting in their homes. So this is another additional sales revenue model for you, wherein if you pitch the product right, quality is good, the pricing is right. So this will help you not only in identifying a new closer market, it will help take care of your headache of warehousing, delivery, logistics, and payment collection. Because payment will automatically find way into your account. You don't need to follow up with your customers. Amazon will do that. So that is the beauty of selling under Amazon.
Thank you so much. But I would like, if you are the direct office here or somewhere in this our state, to be connected to my office so that whatever questions we need to ask or whatever different model we need to now go forward, so we can opt for that as well. Who will be the person in charge?
So myself and Mr. Manmohan Dhiman, who's sitting alongside me, alongside we also have Litika Tayal and Yukti Kalada from our team, who are also part of the session. They're also listening to this. So we four of us are taking people and SMEs across the globe.
Okay, so could you maybe through Mannat or through FikiFlow forward us your address or your contact numbers, please?
I'll do that, ma'am. I'll do that, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you so much.
My pleasure, ma'am. My pleasure.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
My pleasure.
My second part of my question was very simple. Do you think that for a woman entrepreneur to list her products, it would be a better idea to list it in the general category of Amazon or under the Amazon Saheli program? Like, where do you think is the benefit bigger?
Any day, Amazon Saheli, because the woman who's in charge of this program, I can share the details with you. And so this platform is meant to onboard women entrepreneurs across India. These can be artisans, weavers, and entrepreneurs like you, businesswomen like you. And as I just shared an example of Pali Ben. So a rag picker from Ahmedabad can eventually sell on Amazon.
Correct.
So I think this is a very, very, powerful story of a woman entrepreneur going from streets into, selling in marketplaces of US, Canada.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nipun. That answers my question. Over to you, Shweta.
My pleasure, ma'am. Always.
Thank you, Nandita. Thank you, Nipunji. We have 1 or 2 more questions in the chat box. Quickly. Tiku Pawa wants to know that once an entrepreneur is good to go with all the registrations, like you said, Nipunji, then what is the next step?
Ma'am, just list your products and go for the first customer to drop in and order you. And let me tell you, the what you call the thrill of getting the first order is the best experience there is. Getting that first $5 or $10 into your account, and you will literally hooked into it, and you will never ever go back.
All right, thank you, Ji. Raminder ji, our flow member, also wants to know that can we get a suggestion from your end that what are the products that are in great demand these days?
As we, had a slide also on this. Today's I mean, it's a home decor product or the products which are related to medical supplies like masks and other things. So these are in high demand. Of course, the sports category is doing well from the north part of India, Haryana and Punjab. So these are the 2 to 3 categories which are doing very well in the Amazon market. But of course, I mean, one should have the confidence in his or her product, and then should try to onboard on the Amazon. And if his or her product is good enough, and irrespective of which category we are placing it into, it will be a great success there.
All right. Thank you, Manmohanji. Another floor member, Kanchan, wants to know that regarding the warehousing, do we have to own a warehouse for stocking the goods, which then can be picked up later by Amazon and further sent out to the customers?
Ma'am, that's the beauty of this. You don't even need to lease or buy even 1 inch of real estate anywhere, not even in your own factory premises, because the whole logistic parts, that is taking goods out of your premises, be it your home, garage or a factory, and eventually listing it, storing it in a foreign country and selling it, will all be done by these e-marketplaces. So you need not worry about warehousing at all, anywhere.
All right, great. One last one. Manu Jindal wants to know that during these COVID times, do we still have the chances of selling COVID kits in the USA?
So, ma'am, COVID kits is a general, what you call word. So if it is something bordering on a medical supply, let's say a N95 COVID kit, so again, you need to refer to the foreign trade policy. As per my knowledge, it is not currently allowed. But if you're selling something, let's say a cloth, which serves the purpose of as a cloth mask, which is not a medical item, so there's no issues about it. Or immunity boosters, something like that. So we are seeing a number of e-sellers already are clients who are into this arena, and they're doing handsomely well.
All right. Thank you so much, Nipunji. Now, may I please request Riddhima to express the vote of thanks. Over to you, Riddhima.
Thank you, Shweta. It has been a wonderful, wonderful, insightful session. It was a great learning experience. Thank you, Mr. Nipun Bansal, Mr. Manmohan Dhiman, Vishali and Sasha for leading us on the pathway of learning and exploring e-commerce, for embracing the digitalized world with better understanding. We would now like to present to you the Green Certificate. The whole idea behind the Green Certificate is that we at Wikiflow, we believe in creating permanent, long-lasting memories. Hence, we plant a tree in the name of our esteemed guest of honor, and the Green Certificate is a testimonial to it. Now, I would request our IT team to show the Green Certificate for our esteemed speakers. First, for Mr. Nipun Bansal, please. IT team. Thank you, IT team. Now for Mr. Manmohan Dhiman, please. Thank you. For Ms. Vishali. Thank you, IT team. And now for Ms. Sasha. Thank you so much. And thank you, Monica, for opening the session and coordinating it so beautifully. We would like to present a Green Certificate to you as well. IT team, can you please show it? Thank you so much. Radhika, you moderated and curated the event very beautifully, very impeccably. We would like to present a Green Certificate to you. IT team, please show it. Thank you so much. And now I'm so thankful to Mannat Kothari, Chairperson FICCI Flow Ludhiana, for curating such a wonderful session, for such a wonderful learning experience. Over to you, Mannat.
It was such an informative session, 60,000 products enlisted under major women sellers. Thank you, Vishali and Sasha, for sharing your inspirational stories. Nipinji and Manmohanji, you have made it all sound so simple. Now, Flo would be calling you over and over to help these ladies out who want to expand their business and want to go beyond their boundaries of city and country. Do you have to add on something here, Nipinji?
Ma'am, I cannot thank you enough for organizing such a beautiful program. And you remember before this program we had a number of conversations with you and Monica ma'am, Ridhima ji, and I had discussed with you, even if we are able to onboard one single member from this chapter, we would count that as a success, because we know when an entrepreneur is onboarded, he helps at least 5 families along with it. So through this medium of yours, wonderful medium of yours, FICCI FLO, even if we are able to help 5 families who deserve it the most, we will be more than happy. And anything else, anything above than that, it would be a really bonus. Number one. Number two, and I would also be failing in my duty if I would like to thank you so very much to our teammates Nitika Tayal and Yukti Kalada, who have been instrumental in preparing this PPT. And would you believe, Mannat ma'am, these both girls, they are about 20-year-old. They are on path of becoming chartered accountants, and they are already taking women businesses, other businesses globally online in all these 13 countries, sitting here in Ludhiana. Can you believe that?
Amazing.
So,
Mannat, I would just like to add one thing for Nipun and Manmohan ji. Mannat, I would request you to take them on board as outside mentor, external mentors. That would not only help the Ludhiana chapter, but nationally, I think they would be amazing mentors if they could spare some time of theirs.
I think Monica would want to add something here. Monica.
Ritika, hi, thank you for saying that. We have already spoken with Bindu in regards to taking Nipin's mentorship cell to a national program. We are in a process of working it. I think I shall be in touch with you after the program, which is tomorrow as well. And for you, Nipin, we already have a few members who are ready to come on board. One meeting is with you tomorrow. If you check your phone, we are requesting a 12:30 meeting for tomorrow. So please do reply accordingly.
Thank you so much. It would be a pleasure meeting you at 12:30 p.m. tomorrow.
So we are going to get you your first member, first person to onboard there. So that's done. You should have asked for 10.
We are eagerly looking forward to, ma'am. We are eagerly looking forward. Thank you so much for this session. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
And congratulations, Monica, who's a dear friend of mine and also my mentor. She constantly guides me through on the launch of Samadhan. And there's so many questions. My phone is flooded with a lot of queries like how to enroll. So could I just request you all to contact our head here, Mrs. Monica Chaudhary, and she'll help you compile all the data and put you across the right mentors. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, ladies, for being such a good audience. Thank you so very much. Monica, do you want to say something? Or?
Oh, thank you so much, guys. Yeah. Looking forward for a flood of entrepreneurs in Ludhiana. I've been dreaming of this for years to come. And thank you so much, Flo, for giving us this opportunity to be able to have that going, and a great resource in Nipin to help us do that. Thank you, Nipin, Manmohan, your team, and our fabulous inspirational girls, Vishali and Sasha. I am sure we will be tapping to you guys sometime or the other to check how to go about it. And lovely, thank you very much, Team Flo, Radhika, Mannat, everybody else.
And dear Radhika, you were an excellent moderator for the day. Thank you so much for, doing it so effortlessly and seeming it so well. Thank you, Radhika.
Thank you, both of you.
Over to you, Ridhima.
Thank you, Mannat. Thank you so much. My heartfelt thanks to our annual platinum sponsors, Aurika by Akshita, Arya Resorts by Vandana Verma, Headmasters by Karanveer Sidhu, IMC by Satyan Bhatia, Mangalam Diamonds by Manav Mittal, Gold sponsors, KJ Forgings by Amit Kothari, Sood Studios by Shelly Sood, Silver sponsors, Nidhi Jain Makeup Artist, Glam Talks Magazine by Sanya Chawla, PR partners Penumbra by Sukriti, technical partners O1 Synergy by Preet Chandu. Thank you for being such a wonderful audience. Stay home, stay safe, stronger together.